It is time for SBR's closing line. He's Ian Cameron. I am Drew Martin. We're breaking down MLB, CFL, UFC, whatever else you guys want to talk about from a betting perspective. Ian, welcome into the broadcast. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, and unfortunately, I've got 2 hours less of sleep last night due to the fact that just as I was ready for my head to hit the pillow and call it a night, we get the bombshell news that we've been waiting for. The whole world, essentially, it seems like, has been waiting for all week. Where's Kawhi Leonard going to sign? Sure enough, not he does sign in LA, not with LeBron, not with the Lakers, but with the LA Clippers, and he gets apparently his wish. That Paul George to join him. He had been lobbying with Paul George to come to LA for him to get a trade out of Oklahoma City, and sure enough, Kawhi Leonard gets what he was looking for. Him and Paul George with the Clippers to set up an ultimate battle of Los Angeles, the likes we've never seen before. And for the first time in NBA history, we have a legit Lakers-Clippers rivalry. You can't call anything in the past with these two teams a rivalry because there's no rivalry when one team is kicking the snot out of the other team repeatedly, like the LA Clippers have over the the Lakers have over the Clippers over the last several decades. Now we have a real rivalry. Now we have two teams on close to an equal playing field. Let the battle begin.
Ian, I didn't even see it coming. Going to the Clippers. Looking back, were they one of the favorites to get him?
The Clippers were always in the mix, Drew. The LA teams were always there because that's where Kawhi's from. He's got family there. He's always had close ties. He's always expressed a desire to play in Los Angeles, going back to when he wanted out of San Antonio years ago. And sure enough, now he's got that ability. But I think the Lakers leaking some shit bothered Kawhi and his camp a little bit. I think the playing for a super team with LeBron being a sidekick to LeBron James essentially is not what Kawhi Leonard wanted. He wanted to be his own guy, be the lead man, the leading role with whatever team he was on. And he's going to be able to do that now with the Clippers. And I love what he's done, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously, people in my neck of the woods are sad or disappointed. He's not returning with the Raptors, with Toronto. But if you're an NBA fan, forget being a Raptor fan, Laker fan, whatever. If you're an NBA fan, you're loving the way this sets up for the next season. You've got a competitive balance across the league. You've got the West now with a bunch of teams that all can say, hey, we have a shot at least to win the West. We have a shot at least to win the NBA title. The Clippers, the Lakers, the Jazz have done an incredible job. Let's not leave them out of the mix. The Utah Jazz are a damn good basketball team. They'll be heard from. Denver's on the rise. You can't sleep on Houston and Golden State, even though they got question marks going into next season. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
No, it is, and the whole LA rivalry going down. I agree with what you were saying about he didn't want to be a sidekick to LeBron going out to LA. In the Clippers, what they do have the richest owner in all of the NBA, so making this happen, I was kind of hoping that he would stay in Toronto. I think the Raptors had a good thing going with the defense, shooters, and a superstar. I think that's a great mix to do it. But you're right, he didn't want to be the sidekick to LeBron, but he still goes out to LA. Gets the big market near home, so I think it sets up well. Do you think that they come out and they're the favorite in the West as of right now?
They already are the favorite in the West. If you look at the updated futures board after the Kawhi Leonard signing and the Paul George trade to the LA Clippers, they're 2-1 favorites or 2.5-1 in most spots right now. Some spots still have 3-1, but they're the favorite. People liking this LA Clippers team, or at least odds makers liking them to win this NBA title. And for the Raptor fans, that now the amazing part is after all of this goes down, obviously now there's word that the Raptors were also offered a trade option from the Oklahoma City Thunder that would have actually not only included just Paul George, but also Russell Westbrook for a trade involving Pascal Siakam. And apparently Masai Ujiri, and rightfully so, if this is indeed true, scoffed at it. He balked at the idea and said there's no chance in hell. And he's right. All right, you do not look. The Raptors are over their, money spent. They're over their cap limit. With Kawhi and Danny Green now gone, and they're still over their cap limit. So you're going to bring an overpaid, overblown contract like a Russell Westbrook, who is Russell Westbrook, guys. You know what he is? He's a flesh-eating disease sent to eat away at the rotting livers of NBA franchises. That's Russell Westbrook. That's what you're bringing to your basketball team. if you trade for him. So all this nonsense that Masai Ujiri's got to do everything he can to keep Kawhi Leonard, and maybe pulling off that trade with the Thunder, bring George and Westbrook in, would have been enough to keep Kawhi here without, you don't, first of all, you don't have a full-blown assurance that he's going to stay. And second of all, Westbrook's not a guy I want on my team. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's not, especially at the money he's making. No thanks. I'm not interested. I'll do whatever I can to make Kawhi happy. I will not do that. I will not do that if it's something that involves Russell Westbrook playing for my team. Cannot happen.
Ian, a lot of guys here in the chat with opinions on it. Daryl Lyles saying Clippers will win the championship this year. And Neil Franken here, neutral NBA fans are very happy with the Clippers getting him, not to mention with Paul George. Now we have competitive balance we haven't had in a while. I agree with him. I think, competitive balance in the NBA is as good as it's been in a very long time, as long as I can really remember. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the West, there's a bunch of teams there that are more than capable. They're going to be a threat. I mean, people are saying it's Clippers, Lakers, Clippers, Lakers. I love this Utah Jazz team. I mean, they are going to be fantastic with the moves that they have made to upgrade that team in the offseason. The Denver Nuggets are going to be a year better and more experienced. Let's not forget about them either. Completely. Obviously Houston is an underachiever. It's hard for me to believe in them, but they're still going to be competitive in the West. Golden State, I mean, obviously Durant gone. Klay Thompson's going to miss most of the year. It's going to hurt, no question. Yeah, but they're not going to completely disappear off the face of the earth either. So the West is good. Don't forget about all the teams in the East: Bucks, 76ers, Nets, Celtics. It's definitely teams. I still think the Raptors are a playoff team. That's about the extent I'm going to say about the Raptors. I still think they'll be a playoff team next year, but that's probably the extent of it. They might win a series, but to me, you've got a bunch of teams in the East that are going to be contending. You've got a glut of teams that are going to be contending in the West. So in terms of balance and how many teams feel right now on July 6th that they can win a title, I'm sure there's way more teams going into this season that feel they can legitimately win a title than any recent season we've seen in the NBA.
Yeah, interesting stuff here. And guys, if you're just tuning in, good morning to you. Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Ian Cameron and myself, Drew Martin, we are breaking down the Saturday card. And of course, with the late night breaking news, Kawhi Leonard going to the LA Clippers, starting off the show with that. But we are talking MLB, CFL, a little UFC as well. Whatever else you guys want to throw in the chat box, WNBA, feel free to go at it. El Duque in here saying, I support Kawhi and not LeBron. F LeBron. That's one way to look at it. Von Polo in here with his wife. Welcome in. He's pissed off his Washington Mystics game got suspended last night. It was about to cash a ticket there with the earthquake. Ian, did you hear any other kind of betting stories with the earthquake affecting it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I saw images and videos from Dodger Stadium. The Padres-Dodgers game was last night. It happened as that game was going on. It happened at the Summer League game in Vegas last night. Not quite as a huge disruption there because it was further away, but you could still see the earthquake was affecting that. But obviously the Summer League got shut down. They didn't finish the Pelicans-Knicks game after that happened at the Thomas and Mack Center. So it impacted the ability for those games to finish. But yeah, crazy scenes last night. Crazy night overall when you think of California. You have the earthquake in Southern California, and then you have the pseudo-earthquake in the sporting world with Kawhi Leonard signing with the LA Clippers. So it was really two earthquakes last night in California.
Yeah, Neil lighting it up in the chat box saying that Cali earthquake was Kawhi and Paul George touching down in LA. Neo, Doug in the house as well. Ty, welcome in. Walla Walla. Mikey D, love this early show. Let's all bang some winners and rock some units today. Absolutely, Mikey D. Good morning to you. Datfire TV in the house. Christopher Edging, welcome in. Buenos dias, everybody out there. Paco Healy, Southern California as well. LA Clippers used to be a San Diego team. Now they got a bunch of Southern California guys in here. Paco Healy, our San Diego guy. Did you know the Clippers used to be in San Diego, Ian?
Yes, a long time ago, way before my time. But yes, they were there at one point in time early in their existence. Someone in the chat, by the way, mentioned Portland. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Portland. Yes, Portland Trailblazers will be a solid team in the West too. Can't totally look past them either. Like I say, I mean, there's to me, the last few seasons, guess what? We've looked at how many teams have a chance to win the title. It's Golden State, Cleveland, the last few years. This year coming into it, most thought probably Golden State. We didn't see the injuries coming. Obviously, we didn't see going into last season Kawhi Leonard being traded to Toronto, and obviously that put them in the mix right away. But for the most part, there hasn't been a season where you could say 5, 6 teams at least have a legit chance to win a title. That has not been the case in any recent year, and we have that kind of year, I think, coming up this season in the NBA. It's going to make it more interesting and more exciting to watch, probably, and I'm sure the league's happy with where it's at right now.
Absolutely. I think it's good for the NBA overall. We got Ski, what's up, man? Elliot in the house. SBR here saying, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to go the extra mile, smash that notifications bell. Absolutely. SBR YouTube channel. Having some great content all across. So smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to check out the SBR odds page. Huge upgrades all across the board. You can do sides, totals, get all kinds of information on all the different books. So best odds page out there, best free live odds page out there. Ian, let's talk some MLB. That's what the people want to hear as of right now. Big card here, full Saturday card. I'm looking at a couple games. Yesterday's card, finished late, but overall, it's Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox. We got the Windy City series here. New York heading down to Tampa Bay. Baltimore, Toronto. Your Toronto Blue Jays are starting to heat up there north of the border, at least from the offensive perspective. Have you placed any bets yet on the MLB board as of right now?
Yeah, this is an interesting board when you look at it. You look at Texas and Minnesota over the total stands out like a sore thumb. Jesse Chavez got hit around his last start. I think there's more of that to come for him. I don't look at him as any kind of big time, starter, and he's basically pitched the last few times as a spot starter out of the bullpen. Pineda's not been any good for the most part this season. He's had his rough times. So, and you saw both bullpens spent last night in the first game of that Rangers Twins series. So there's a game we could see some runs in it. You could say the same about probably Boston, Detroit as well. I mean, not at all sold on Jordan Zimmerman at all. Porcello's really had a rough season by his standards. Nothing's come easy for him. It's been a struggle for him. Total is 11 in that game. Sometimes you're shaky with totals that high with Detroit, but last night's game flew over the total, got 15 runs or so in that game. You might see the same there. You talked about Cubs and White Sox. I'm always interested in Giolito. Giolito's been solid. He's had a great win-loss record for the White Sox. Hasn't pitched quite as well in the last few starts. He really went through a great run in May and early June, sort of leveled off just a little bit since then. It's not like the Chicago Cubs have played great baseball, the last week or so. They were really struggling until they finally got a win against Pittsburgh, the final game of that series the other day when Joe Madden lost his mind and was all upset about Clint Hurdle and the Pirates purposely throwing at Cub hitters. He got a little upset about that. I think he's just trying to spark the team. They were a little flat. They were playing lethargic baseball, the Cubs, in those games. And I think Madden was just trying to get everybody all riled up and excited and try to turn the tide a little bit for his struggling team more than anything with that little tirade he went on. But to me, White Sox are probably something I would be looking at here. I mean, I'm always interested with Giolito's been one of their more consistent pitchers. This White Sox team overall is a team that feels that they could still hang in this wild card race. They're only a few games out of it right now. All the quotes are positive. From Abreu and Anderson and most of the players on this roster, they're talking like they want to contend and stay in this playoff chase and try to make a run at it. So White Sox with Giolito here are interesting way to go for me.
I was looking at that game too, and we got a lot of guys in the chat box talking UFC. We're going to hit on it next, also CFL. But the Cubs, White Sox, this was a game I have circled as well. I'm kind of looking to fade John Lester here, Ian. He's 35 years old. He doesn't really get past the fifth inning very often, and this isn't a Cubs bullpen of years past. When you look at their ERA, their strikeout rate, they're really not all that great. I would probably grade them out below halfway in MLB. Also, the Chicago White Sox, a top 10 lineup in terms of weighted runs created plus number against lefties. John Lester coming from the left side, and also the last 2 weeks, this lineup is heating up as well. WRC number of 116 the last week. 2 bottom third bullpens, in my opinion. There is one thing that keeps me off of the White Sox side, or not necessarily off of the White Sox side, but pumping the brakes on the White Sox side because I did bet it. Giolito, the former first rounder here, tall, big dude. Everybody knows him, 11-2 on the season. But last time he played the Cubs, not too long ago, I believe it was June 19th, he did let up 6 earned runs. He did have 9 Ks, which is promising, but still 6 earned runs crossing the plate. That is something that scares me. Not too long ago, Ian, how much do you factor that in, his last performance against this Cubs lineup?
Oh yeah, it definitely have to. I mean, he has not pitched quite as well in recent starts. There's no sugarcoating it. It's clear as day. You're right, but Lester's been on that fade route for me most of the season. Like, I've not been interested in backing John Lester, and I know John Lester for a lot of times earlier this season was sort of getting by with smoke and mirrors, so to speak. Like, he was just, for some way, somehow, he's getting out of bases loaded jams, 2 guys on, and he'd somehow get through 5-6 innings, giving up only a couple of runs. I'm like, this guy's not pitching good, even though his base stat line is not going to show that. And sure enough, he started to get hit a little bit after that. And he's just a guy that I just don't have a lot of confidence. It's not like this Cubs team has been playing red hot, tremendous baseball in recent games. I would definitely, to me, I'm only looking at White Sox here. I think they're worth some kind of bet here. I would probably split it up, first 5 in full game. We know that White Sox pen at times can be a little bit spotty, but the day off, not playing yesterday should help them a little bit. But I'll probably be on the White Sox here.
Ian, another good write-up I saw on SBR early this morning, the Yankees and the Rays. We got Sabathia versus Snell, 2 lefties here in the AL East matchup. 8.5, -130 Tampa Bay at home. Also as high as -136 right now at bookmakers. Snell, he's an interesting kind of case study here of a bet on or a fade. Is he out of his slump? I don't know. I mean, his last start, he did have 12 Ks. He looked good. And going against this Yankees lineup, as we know, they've been able to go through any injury, and they're still one of the best lineups in baseball. DJ LeMahieu is 9 for 11 with 20 RBIs when the bases are loaded. Obviously, that's not sustainable. Just wanted to throw out there. It was in the article here on SBR odds. So it makes me want to bet on Snell just because, he did have his last performance being a really good one. So is he out of his slump? I kind of want to bet on that, but I do think that overall the Yankees are the more talented team. Are you interested in this AL East matchup today?
Very tough game because Blake Snell's a guy I've been fading the last couple times. I went against him with Minnesota a couple of starts ago, and he got crushed in that game. And I think I had a little bit of Texas and a little bit of the over in his last start against the Rangers. Because I just thought something was wrong with him. I thought there was maybe an injury involved. He was not looking good at all. He was getting really hit hard. But the Rays swore that he's not injured. There's nothing wrong with him physically. He's just going through a slump. He's just going through a rough patch right now, which a lot of starting pitchers do, especially when you're coming off the season Blake Snell had last year. It's going to be hard to replicate that. But good news for Blake Snell is he looked a lot more like the Blake Snell of last year, the Cy Young winner. I mean, you're looking at a Blake Snell in the last game against Texas. The strikeouts were there. The swings and misses were good. He did give up 1 home run to Joey Gallo in that game. Other than that, he was excellent. So it was a really strong start, a bounce back from Blake Snell. Got that game over the total barely, but it was because Tampa Bay scored runs, not the team facing Blake Snell. So it was a better start for Blake Snell. It was a step in the right direction. The question is, can he keep it going here against this absolutely ridiculous Yankees lineup that just keeps on just crushing the ball? They did it again last night. Rally from a deficit to beat the Rays for a second straight time. It doesn't matter who's in this lineup right now. They're finding ways to put runs on the board, finding ways to hit home runs. It's going to be a tough matchup here for Snell. This is going to be a litmus test. That's why I have a more of a wait and see approach with this game. See how he fares here against the Yankees lineup. If he mows down the Yankees here today, Blake Snell, then maybe it's buy sign time and he's back on the beam. But if he struggles, then maybe he's still trying to work through his issues. So let's give CC Sabathia a lot of credit here. Carbs and calories. He's been absolutely outstanding here for the New York Yankees. For the most part, he's been very consistent. And this is a guy that was debating retirement going into the season, and yet for the most part, he's at least given them a chance to win in every single game. If CC Sabathia only gives up 3 runs in 6 innings, which is something he's more than capable of doing, it gives the Yankees a chance to win. And you can't argue with his results against Tampa this season. He's faced them 3 times. He's given up a grand total of 4 runs in 17 innings of work this season against Tampa Bay. So he's fared very well against this Rays team. Telling you what, I would only take the Yankees at a plus price here. They're the better of these two teams, certainly the better lineup, the better bullpen. If Sabathia can hang with Snell, if Snell is the Snell that we saw a couple starts ago, we'll see. Snell was excellent last time out. Like I say, maybe that's a sign he's back on the beam, but he's going up against a much better lineup here with the New York Yankees than even Texas can throw at you. So let's see what he's made of today. Today's going to be a good indication of where Blake Snell's at.
Yeah, I'm with you. The lineup thing, it's a interesting kind of handicap here because, I feel like after one start, it is bettable to jump on a pitcher out of a slump. But you're right. It's a lot better lineup today. So it's a game I haven't touched yet, but I was interested in betting on him. We got Neo Money in the house saying, good morning, Ian and Drew. Let's get this money. Absolutely, Neo. Every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're breaking down the Saturday card. Good vibes, bro, from Greatest Ever. A bunch of guys in the chat box. It's live here. Bunch of different bets as well, which try to throw out as much as we can. Greatest Ever in here saying he needs a parlay. He lost $600 in a dice game last night. That's tough, man. Don't want to lose too much in a dice game, but we're probably not going to give you parlays, more straight up bets, right, Ian?
I'm not a dice game expert because I've rarely, if ever, I think I've played one in my life. That's it. And I've never played a serious poker game. So poker and dice games, forget it. I can't help you.
We got Wallace saying Padres first 5 versus Kershaw was nice, plus money last night. Absolutely. Seeing the Pods win in a close one last night was interesting. We got with Corey Simmons in the house. Welcome in. Eric Jones, Bricker Overland in the house as well. Good morning to you. Happy Saturday morning to you. Please smash the like button and share on your social media networks if possible. Ian, any other MLB games you wanted to throw out there? We got Paddock on the hill for the Padres going up against Maeda. He's the Dodgers, minus 160 favorites at home, total of 8. Or any other games you wanted to throw out there before we move on to the CFL and UFC?
Yeah, how about the Padres last night against Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers, who are laying, the usual minus 200 whenever Kershaw's pitching at home. And the Padres, a big underdog winner. It was a good night for underdogs last night. There was a bunch of them. Phillies were a big underdog against the Mets. I'm kicking myself I didn't take something on Philadelphia. That line was only at that price range because DeGrom was on the mound for the Mets. They had no business, that team, with that shitty bullpen. And how bad they've been for most of the last month or so. To be favored by that price was ridiculous. I didn't back the Phillies, unfortunately. It was my bad on that. But San Diego, one of those big underdogs that cashed in last night. I'm waiting for Chris Paddock to get back on the beam again, and to get things turned around. This is a guy with some upside here for the Padres. I think he's going to have a very bright and pretty good future ahead of him. For this Padres team. Is he showing signs of that the last 3 starts? He might be. Remember, he got roughed up a couple of starts late May, early June. But, last 3 starts, he gave up 3 runs to San Fran, 2 runs to Pittsburgh, 1 run in 6 innings against the Cardinals in his last start. So I'm definitely seeing signs of him turning it around. No question about that. I'm seeing signs of Kenta Maeda not quite pitching as well as he did early in the season. Like, Maeda was really pitching well. It's sort of gone backwards for him. Not that it's alarming, but, he's not working as deep into games. 5 innings, 4.1 in his last start against Colorado. He's a guy that's just not quite as sharp right now, current form-wise, as he was earlier in the season. Saw with this Dodgers bullpen, if you can get into their middle relief, you can do some things against them. This is an okay Dodgers bullpen. This is not a great Dodgers bullpen. And then San Diego, they got the win last night, 3-2, comeback win. The big home run by Renfroe in the 8th inning to put them ahead. That snapped a 5-game losing streak. They had really not been playing great ball. I like that from a team that's capable like San Diego, where they have a losing streak, they get a win to snap it. I think that's momentum for the next day. I think San Diego's not a crazy thing to look at here at the plus price.
Yeah, and Paddock last time out, 6 innings, 8 Ks, 1 earned run, like you touched on. I mean, getting sent down to the minors, just working on a couple things. And they're stretching out his starts also. If you look at his game logs, he's getting it, at least 7 days in between each start, which helps the young pitcher, in my opinion. Also not applicable in the chat box saying LA hitting disappeared. Yeah, it's not the same lineup that it was just not too long ago. Although Datfire, he is liking the Dodgers tonight. Joe Rich, I'm on Houston over today. El Duque saying, I absolutely hate the Nationals. What a trash organization. With Scherzer on the hill, I don't necessarily hate the Nationals, right, Ian?
No, I mean he's the one guy that you get, but minus 380. I mean that's crazy. That's absolutely astronomical, that price. Plus minus 400, 406 at Heritage. You want to lay 1-4 with the Washington Nationals, even with Scherzer, who's been like this is a sick run that Max Scherzer's on right now. Like we can't take anything away from the guy. He has been unbelievable, and he's playing for a team that's barely above 500, that has got a puncher's chance at best, trying to get back into the NL wildcard chase. And here's a team that he's away from the team. He had the birth of his child, but he's coming back. He's just a team guy. He'll do anything to win. He'll do anything to be there for his team. And you saw it. He had the mark above his eye. He says, "To hell with that. I'm still going to pitch for this team." Look at the results for Scherzer the last several starts. Look at this run since like late May: 0, 1, 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 1. That's the runs allowed for Max Scherzer in his last 8 starts. Like he's been absolutely scintillating. Look at the strikeout numbers: 14, 10, 10, 10 strikeouts in his last 4 starts. Only 3 walks. He's had 3 walks and 44 strikeouts in his last 4 starts. Unbelievable stuff from him. Sparkman is going to get. It's appropriate. The Kansas City starter is Glenn Sparkman because people have been lighting him up like a spark in the last several starts for the Royals. He's been terrible. The Blue Jays crushed him in his last start. He's been awful. There's a reason Washington's this heavily favored. It's a complete and utter starting pitching mismatch, but that doesn't mean I'm laying minus 4. This is not a dog I want, but Washington's bullpen is still scary as well. So that's been the issue at times, even with Scherzer on the mound. He has the lead. He's mowing them down. The bullpen coughs it up. That's always your concern. It's too big of a risk for me to lay this kind of price with Washington. Way too much.
And just one follow-up question, because we do got to get on to UFC and CFL. We could come back to MLB for best betsy. And did you say Max Scherzer just had a kid?
Yes, and he was just away from the team ever so briefly for that, and he's back with them and ready to make this start here today. His last start was June 30th, so he's on regular rest. It's not like he was away from the team for an extended amount of time. He's really making his normal, regular start here, normal routine, regular rest. So I don't expect his rhythm to be thrown off all that much.
That's a sharp angle, though, to fade the pitcher that just had a kid, especially if it's his first kid. But
he's wired differently, though, Scherzer. If there's one guy that could survive and pitch well in this kind of circumstances, probably him. He's just got that like bulldog, intense facial expression out there. He might be able to handle it. We'll see.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. He's a good handicap as well. Paco Healy saying, I'm on the pods, but feel like I might be a day late. Yeah, that was a nice plus money cash there. Ralph Portuando in the house. Let's go. Absolutely. Red Girl, what is up in South Florida? Hopefully meet you at the SBR thing in Miami, not too far away. Week 0 of college football season. So hopefully you'll be there, Red Girl, and a bunch of other low baggers in the chat box. Hopefully heading to South Florida as well. We got the Marlins game, Dolphins game, lot planned, and it should be a good time. Ian, north of the border, you're 9-3 on the season in the CFL. We got to hit it real quick. We got a double header tonight. BC, Toronto. Fade the Argonauts, man. I'm thinking about getting there. Haven't bet either game yet. We also got Calgary, Saskatchewan. The nightcap looks like about a touchdown. Saskatchewan is laying 50.5 being the total. Man, talk to us a little bit about tonight's CFL card. What are you liking?
Or as Mad Dog Russo on Sirius says, Saskatchewan. He really always butchers that name. It's hilarious. Or butchers the province's name. That's pretty hilarious. But yeah, I mean, BC Toronto, the first one, we've got BC laying 7.5. The total 54.5 in that game. The Toronto Argonauts have been an abomination. They're 0-2, but it's been an ugly 0-2. They've been outscored 96-21. That's not a typo. That's a real thing. 96-21. They've been outscored in their first 2 games. James Franklin was awful at quarterback. He got injured. It's now going to be McLeod Bethel Thompson. He can't be worse than Franklin, but he's also playing behind a terrible offensive line that has not protected the quarterback at all. He's not a mobile quarterback, Bethel Thompson, so I'm worried about that for the Argos. Their defense has been shredded. BC's winless, and they're laying more than a touchdown. So that tells you how bad Toronto's been right now. But BC should have won last week. I mean, they pissed it away in the final 4 minutes. They were up by 11. Nick Arbuckle replaces an injured Bo Levi Mitchell, touchdown, onside kick recovery, and another touchdown. And next thing you know, Calgary wins 36-32. Brutal, brutal loss for BC. But you always have to worry about teams that lose the way BC did last week. Heartbreaking. That should have been their first win. How do they respond? What's their mental mindset like? Are they down in the dumps? Are they hanging their heads? Players sound like they're saying the right things, like, hey, we didn't finish. We got to learn how to play better. We got to show up for 60 minutes in the next game. Tell you what, if they show up for 60 minutes today, it might be too much for Toronto to handle. I can't take the dog. They have not even shown the ability to be remotely competitive to this point in the 2 games this season. I know BC's winless, but they're from the better division. I still think they're a better team on paper. Mike Riley should have an edge at the quarterback spot. It's favorite or nothing for me. I would only lay the points.
Okay, and anything else in the other game?
Calgary, Saskatchewan, I did lay the points here in this one with Saskatchewan, although its numbers just absolutely flying up. I mean, it opened 3.5, 4. It's up to 6 now on Saskatchewan. It's all because of the Calgary injuries. This is a walking wounded football team. No Bo Levi Mitchell at quarterback. No running back Don Jackson, the number 1 back. One of their better receivers is out, Juwan Brescison as well. And that pales in comparison to the injuries on defense. Upwards of 5 or 6 starting D linemen out for Calgary. So bad that Dave Dickinson, the head coach, is calling other teams to see who they cut from their roster in training camp along the defensive line so that the Calgary Stampeders can sign them and maybe put them on the field tonight in this game. That's how perilously thin they are at defensive line, Calgary. And they've already got changes at linebacker. They've got new cornerbacks because Deontay Evans left in the offseason. Again, Jagera Davis and Micah Johnson left in the offseason for other teams on that defensive line. Now the guys that are replacing them are injured. It's just a mess for Calgary. So and now you're going into Saskatchewan, a tough place to play against a Riders team that got their first win at home against Toronto the other night. And you just got I just worry that there's just not enough for Calgary to hang in this kind of game. I mean, there just seems to be too many injuries. Arbuckle's capable, and he showed it last week against BC in the comeback win, but this is now going to be his first start. This is now going to be on the road, unlike last week, and it's in one of the loudest environments in the CFL against a pretty good Saskatchewan defense. So this is going to be a good challenge here for Nick Arbuckle, the Georgia State product. Let's see how he can handle it here in this game. He's got some talent. I'll not take that away from him, but even Calgary's offensive line has struggled at times. Again, a very good team, tough defense in their building for your first start. That's not an easy first assignment. We'll see how he handles it, but I think Saskatchewan will win. It's getting up there, but I would still lay anything less than a touchdown. I can't go more than that. If it gets to 7, I would back off. But I think Calgary's in a really rough spot here with all the injuries.
Man, Ian, just listening to you talk about Calgary with their defensive line issues and also Nick Arbuckle coming in and that offense got a spark. He can throw the deep ball, as we know. The Sun Belt Conference all-time leading passing yards. He has that record. So the total of 51, kind of combining all that, looks a little short to me. Would you look towards the over? I think you're on
I
mute.
do like the over in this game because Saskatchewan, I think, is going to have a lot of success on offense. They've scored 30 plus in each of Cody Fajardo's first 2 starts since he took over at quarterback because Colaros got injured. They can run the football at will. William Powell's been great at running back. A depleted defensive front, that's not good for stopping the run. And if they can run the football, and they should, with the depleted defensive line for Calgary, takes a lot of pressure off Fajardo, keeps him in manageable down and distance situations. It's going to make him a better quarterback and open things up in the passing game. So I think Saskatchewan's going to hit 30 points at least. I mean, Calgary's defense has been terrible. They've gone over the total in each of their first 2 games. Now they're even more banged up on defense. I think Saskatchewan can get 30-35 in this game because they've hit at least 30 in each of their last 2 games. Question is, what can you get from Calgary? Can you get them to score 17, 20 points to get this game over the total? I think they can. Because I think Arbuckle can at least do enough to get you there. But, and it's a low total. We're talking 50.5 here where the number is right now. I would go over the total in this game.
Good stuff, man. CFL 2 games tonight should be fun to watch. We got Mikey D saying I took both favorites in the CFL tonight. Moneyline parlayed at plus 100. I like the play, guys. So looking there in the CFL. We also got Right Moneyline saying, hey, guys, why does the CFL goalpost not move back like the NFL football did years ago? Seems like it's so dangerous. Ian, do you have a quick answer on why the goalpost isn't back like that?
It's a fascinating and frustrating thing for me. I've said this is the most asinine thing the CFL does is let's put our goalposts right in the front of the end zone so that it blocks the pathway for receivers to run their routes. Quarterbacks sometimes have their passes hit the goalpost and it becomes a dead ball, incomplete right away when that happens. Put the damn goalpost right at the back of the end zone. Like what are we doing here? Your receivers got to watch out for the goalpost when they're running routes into the end zone. The quarterback's always got to worry that, hey, I got to make sure the ball is thrown high enough that it's not going to hit the post when I launch it into the end zone. It's asinine, but it's never going to change because it's been this way forever as I've been watching CFL. So it's just one of those weird oddities of the league that is just, I don't think it's going to change.
No, it is a funny one, but hey, we got to hit on the UFC real quick tonight, guys. It's a big card. I mean, from a fan perspective, we got John Jones fighting Holly Holm, Amanda Nunes. That should be a good one as well. Luke Rockhold in here. Let us know in the chat box what you guys are betting. I haven't bet any fight on tonight's card. Gonna bet a few. Go watch it tonight, Ian. I know you know the UFC pretty well. Are you involved in any fight as of right now? And anything you're thinking here in Santos versus John Jones, the main
Yeah.
event?
I might look at a parlay of some kind with Rockhold and John Jones and Ben Askren. Let me see if I put that up there. That's about plus 145. That's not a bad price for a three fight parlay there. Uh, you can even throw Nunez in there because I think she'll take care of business against Holly Holm as well. A couple of underdogs that are kind of interesting. I don't want to be partisan here because she's Canadian, but this Randa Marcos has fought a lot better lately in her last few fights. Claudia Gadelha is not an easy one, easy opponent for her, no question. There's a reason Gadelha is good. There's a reason she's favored like that. But I think Marcos can maybe scare Gadelha a little bit. She might be a flyer at a big plus 200 price there. The one underdog that I'm definitely going to bet and the one I'm going to take a chance with, and I fully understand why he's a big favorite. He's a really good fighter. Michael Chiesa minus 400. But I don't know what Diego Sanchez has found the last couple fights, but he's found something. Fountain of youth, whatever you want to call it, but he's fought a lot better the last couple fights. Now, this is a huge, huge step up in class for him. Huge. I totally understand that. That's why you're getting the price with him that you are. But with Diego's power, with his ability, with the fact that he has sort of reinvented himself a little bit lately and fought better and more competitively, is it worth a bet to see that maybe he's got a puncher's chance to maybe shock Chiesa and win this fight? I think so. I think it's just a little bit overpriced. I'm going to go in with Diego Sanchez plus 300. Take a big stab here at a massive underdog price here. As good as Chiesa is, I like what I've seen in current form wise from Sanchez to think that he's got a puncher's chance. And if I think he's got a puncher's chance, I think it's worth it at plus 300. If I think he's at least got a shot at plus 300, I think it's worth the bet.
Yeah, that one jumped off the card at me as well. Just Chiesa, at this stage of his career, laying near minus 400. It just seemed a little high to me. I got to do a little bit more research on Sanchez, but like you said, he does have the power there. And then just real quickly, Ian, John Jones minus 600-ish here, depending where you're shopping. It is kind of volatile, so make sure to check out SBR odds to see what price, what book has it the best, because seeing it as high as minus 750 and as low as minus 565, that price is at Bet Online right now, just so everybody knows. Also at 2.5 as the total. You interested in this total at all? Because it's tough to bet a minus 600 unless you like the underdog, just on this fight alone, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, certainly I'm not in love with betting any John Jones fight over the total. That's for sure. We know he's got that ability to finish it quickly. The question is he going to be able to do that here in a timely fashion against Thiago Santos? I would lean under, if anything, in this fight. I'm not interested in Jones fights over the total. I would only go under. I don't love it, but I would lean that way.
All right, man. Good stuff. Anything else you want to throw out there before we get to best bets, man?
No, I'm ready to rock and roll with best bets. I think we've covered it all.
Let's go, man. At Bobano on Twitter knows the CFL as good as anybody. Great sports better overall. So what do we got for best bets, man?
All right, let's get a best bet where the line's not moved crazy like it has. I mean, I'm going to go CFL. I have the last couple of weeks, and it's worked well. I think we're two straight CFL best bets on the show that we've cashed. So it's been a nice run with the CFL. We'll stick with that tonight. Let's stick with over 50.5 Calgary, Saskatchewan here tonight. I can't. I like Saskatchewan the side more than the total. I'll be honest, but I'm not going to say best bet -6 when you could have had -3.5. Early in the week. So the numbers just moved a bit too much, although I still like the Riders side. Let's go Calgary, Saskatchewan. Let's see what's out there. 50.5 five dimes looks like the best place right now for the total. 50.5 over Calgary, Saskatchewan. Calgary, as I mentioned, their defense is completely ripped to shreds with injuries right now, especially on the defensive line. They've given up at least 30 points in their first two games. Saskatchewan has scored at least 30 points in each of their last two games. Can you get 20 points from Calgary? I still think you can. Nick Arbuckle, it's a tough environment, good defense, but he's not incapable. He does have some talent. He does have some ability. He's been on the Calgary team for a year or two now, been in that system, knows the offense. I don't think he's going to be completely like a fish out of water here. He'll be able to do some things. Let's go with Calgary, Saskatchewan over 50.5 for the best bet.
All right, over 50.5 Calgary, Saskatchewan for Ian Cameron. Been on a run with best bets. We also got another over here. So if you like betting overs, you're going to like the best bets because I'm going back to the Cubs White Sox game we talked about earlier. Looks like the market has pushed it up from 9 to 9.5. All the nines were taken out, so the market kind of onto it as well. But seeing 9.5, and you can get it even money plus 100 right now. So Chicago Cubs for Chicago White Sox. I'm liking the over of 9.5. Lester at this point in his career, 35 years old. I got him circled as a fade. He doesn't go past the fifth inning very often. The Cubs bullpen, I have him rated in the bottom third, bottom half after the trades, but still the White Sox as well, bottom third bullpen in my opinion. Plus, this Cubs lineup has been hitting a little bit better in top 10 versus lefties. Talking about the Chicago White Sox lineup and one of the hotter lineups in all of MLB the last 14 days. So kind of fading the bullpens, fading Lester most likely or more so here, and I like the 9.5 to the over the Cubs versus the White Sox. So Ian, man, good stuff. Any closing thoughts here before we shut this down?
Closing thoughts are, it's going to be a great Saturday. MLB card, CFL games, great UFC fight card on pay-per-view coming up tonight. The biggest event of the year, or arguably their biggest event of the year. So lots to get us excited for a big Saturday of sports and hopefully a big Saturday of profits. As always, thanks to everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, and well said. And also, guys, a big point here on my best bet. I forgot to throw out there. Giolito just faced this Cubs lineup and gave up 6 earned runs, so I think that's kind of a fade there. The Cubs just saw him not too long ago and performed well, so I do think they'll be able to put up some crooked numbers. I do like the White Sox, but I like the over as well, so over 9.5 there. And Ian Cameron has the Saskatchewan-Calgary game over 50.5 in the CFL game of tonight's doubleheader in the CFL. Guys, we'll be back next Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Thanks for joining us. Everybody in the chat box, thanks for throwing out all your plays here. Guru Sports, Don Ricci, welcome in, guys, and have a great Saturday. Best of luck with your bets. Please smash the like button on your way out. Have a great Saturday, guys.
Good luck, everybody. Thanks for watching.